but right now the engine is blown, like most Subarus. Hey guys, and welcome to another install video with Verus Engineering. We are going to be installing some hood louvers on our Shop WRX STI. First, we're going to go over what's included in the kit, and then we're going to go over what kind of tools you'll need, and then we'll get to the install. Overall, it's not too difficult, but you are going to be putting some holes in your hood, so it is a little bit scary, but hopefully walking you through it, it will be a little bit less scary, and we'll be able to shed some much needed heat from underneath the hood. Alright, so now what's all included in the kit is a left hand and a right hand hood louver, a left and a right hand wicker. You're going to have a large printed cut template which has all the drilled holes marked for this install, and then we'll have a hardware bag which has a small Verus sticker, multiple 832 serrated stainless nuts, a warning label, and that should be what all is included in the hardware bag. It's in the other room right now, but I will grab it when we go to install everything. Next up, we'll go through what tools you'll need, and then we'll get to the install. Alright, so let's go over the tools we'll need for the install. Needle nose pliers, that helps us remove the sheet metal as well as the clips on the under hood. Scissors. We have a countersink, cleans up the holes for when we drill the holes. I have a center punch, which we use a tap hammer to hit the center punch. Drill, step drill bit, 1/8 inch drill bit, 3/16 drill bit, 12mm socket, 10mm socket. This is what I use to deburr. It's an angle grinder with a deburr wheel on it. We have a tape measure to double check our measurements to ensure that the louvers are even side to side. 11/32 socket. Air tool to blow off the parts. You also probably will want to use a shop vac. This was used with sockets, so socket, wrench, or impact, doesn't really matter, and a cutoff wheel. Alright, so the first part of the install is going to be removing the hood. There's some 12mm, they're actually M8 by 125, but they're 12mm head bolts, and then there's going to be some 10mm for the gas struts. That's what's going to remove the hood. To remove the washer fluid line, we're going to basically pull this. I need to get some needle nose pliers, and we'll remove that, and then remove this out. Then that will all come off as well. While we have the hood open, we're going to remove this, as we're going to be cutting basically right around here. So we're going to use a plastic panel popper and remove all these. Alright guys, so we have the hood now on carpeting. Basically that just protects the paint a little bit. I would definitely recommend using something like carpeting or maybe a blanket of some sort. They will get shavings on it though, so keep that in mind. But basically this allows us to flip the hood over when necessary without worrying about the paint getting significantly scratched. We still do our best to keep, I mean I would still recommend doing your best job to not scratch the paint. Cleaning the carpeting multiple times before flipping it over, etc., that type of stuff. So the next step for this install is going to be to cut out the paper template. I will do that real quick off screen. It's just some scissors and cutting around the template, and then we will get to placing the template where we would like it, and then drilling some holes. Alright guys, I wanted to show you exactly what I had going on here. So more or less we grabbed a piece of painter's tape and we went all the way from corner, so basically this tangent corner all the way to the other tangent corner, laid it as flat as we could. We then went from this tangency and went straight as best we could. We then measured out 3.75 inches, and that's where this hole is going to go. So we did that on both sides so that each side is the same. Now ultimately for your install, you can install it however you would like. We're basically installing it in a aesthetically pleasing functional location. This is a lower area of pressure. I would try to stick in this location more so than back here. You're going to have a little bit harder time evacuating air from the rear of the hood than the front. And that is also shown in some of our CFD that I'm sure Clay can add. But basically we are to the point where we can actually tape this down, and to the best of our ability we'll keep this flat so that these holes are actually line up with the louver, and then we'll start drilling some holes. Keep in mind that obviously you should rotate however you'd like. Our idea or goal here is to have this curve line up with the body curve here for an aesthetically pleasing install. Let's get to taping these on, and then we'll start making some holes. Should be fun. Also, I wanted to point out we have gone to paper templates. Gear One Performance kind of suggested this, and it made sense to us. While the vinyl is very nice, if for some reason, and we have had customers do this, they lay it down and it crinkles, it's basically stuck to the hood at that point, and you cannot remove it. With the paper templates and painter's tape, you can move it multiple times and you're not going to tear this piece of paper. Alright, so the paper templates are now taped down. We're so lucky to have Jose with us. He double checked this measurement right here to the edge of the hood, and we got 5.5 inches approximately from this to the edge of the hood on both locations. So we believe that the two units are fairly close to being even as far as side to side. We're going to start center punching each of these holes. We're going to center punch the inside hole as well, and then we're going to drill these to, I believe it's 0.178. We'll probably go a little bit larger, like 0.19. I believe we have a drill for that. And then we'll cut this out, flip the hood over, and then cut out the supporting sheet metal. Alright guys, so as you saw, I initially drilled them to an 1/8 inch. So I took an 1/8 inch drill bit and I drilled all the holes. Those generally follow the center punch pretty well. I then took a step bit and I opened up these to 3/16, which is roughly 0.19 inches. And then I opened these up to, I believe, 1/2 inch. Yeah, 1/2 inch. Basically just all the way to the end. And then we're going to end up taking a cutoff wheel, and we're going to follow these lines as best we can and remove this. Now I can already tell you there is a little structural sheet metal that we're going to have to remove on the bottom side, so we'll do that next, but I'm going to do the other side off camera, and then we'll get to cutoff wheel this. Alright, so at this point we have all the holes drilled. We have cut the inside line of the louver out. We have to flip it over to cut the structural part out. I also did run a 3/16 inch drill bit all the way through so that we have holes on the other side, so we know exactly where to cut, which I'll show you in a second. I then blew off the entire hood with compressed air, and then I cleaned it off with detail spray as best I could. Shout out to Mike Kojima for his detail spray. It works great. I need to buy some more soon. So now we're going to protect the hood scoop as best we can, because that's basically where the hood is going to lay. We're going to pull the hood up, vacuum, and then flip it over with probably another towel there, and then we can work on the other side. Alright, so with the hood flipped over, we can grab our roll of not double-sided tape, but painter's tape, and mark out basically where we're going to cut. Because we need to install the nuts, we actually need to cut outside where the nuts are going to be located, which are the holes that we drilled. So we use this as guidelines to cut out this structural part. Overall, it's not terribly difficult. The only big thing that you have to worry about is not going through the skin, because if you hit the skin or if you go through the skin, that would be really bad. Basically, you would ruin your hood. So when you're going on these locations that are really close to the hood skin, this is not scary because there's a very large gap of air. But here, you're pretty close to the structure or the hood skin. Just go really lightly and make sure that you don't go through the skin. We'll do that real quick, and then it's basically to the point we just deburr everything, and we can install the hood louver. Alright, so I don't know exactly where we got lost yesterday when the camera died, but ultimately what I did after removing the structural sheet metal with a cutoff wheel, I then cleaned up all the edges, I deburred them, I countersunk the holes, and then I did a very tedious job of cleaning up all the edges with touch-up paint. This hood is steel, so you will rust it, so that's basically why I took that step. I would highly recommend it. You don't need to use the exact same color of paint as the OEM hood, but it does look a little cleaner right now. You'll see why real quickly, that this basically covers up all the edges and all the holes. So even if you didn't use the same color of touch-up paint, it doesn't really matter. But basically the install for the most part is done at this point. We will install the serrated nuts real quick and get that on camera. But if you've made it this far and you've followed along, nice job on the install. It's not super easy, but at the same time it's not super difficult. I hope you enjoy this, and we will get to the final part of the install. Alright, so as you can see on the underside, I did the same thing. Not extremely clean looking, but at the same time it will not rust, so that's ultimately the reason behind doing that. Currently we are installing the serrated nuts by hand. I would not recommend using an impact. These are very small fasteners. Overall, not a difficult process. Just try not to drop any into the hood. They are kind of a pain to get out if you do drop one. Yep, so basically just doing this, and then I will show you how to install the Wicker if you would like to run it, which it does improve performance of the hood louver by creating a low pressure pocket behind it. So we do recommend running that if you're interested in performance. I will agree with those who say it doesn't look as nice, and it just doesn't, but it's a functional piece, and lucky for anyone who purchases our louvers, it is removable or installed at will. And if we do have enough interest, we could create rain guards for these louvers as well, which then can be installed and uninstalled pretty easily and quickly. Alright, so we're getting to the point where we can install the Wicker. Let's see if I can do it. Okay. Alright, Alright, so there is a left and a right hand side. You'll find out really quickly that you can't install the wrong one, the wrong side. But basically it installs on the bottom side of the hood without any nuts installed, and then you install a nut to capture it. And then using an 11/32 inch socket, we'll tighten all these. Do not go overly tight on them. They are small fasteners. They just need to be snug. You can see I'm not even using a ratchet. I would suggest not using a ratchet because you can over tighten them pretty quickly. Alright, and then the louver with the wicker is installed currently. We'll flip it over on the other side and install the little sticker we include. And the install is done. Basically just reinstall the hood. So final part of the install, we'll install our included sticker. It's a vinyl sticker similar to our larger ones that is included in the hardware kit. Basically, we're just going to find a nice place wherever we like it, and then we'll lay it down. Ultimately, it's up to you if you even want to run it. Alright guys, that concludes our install on the hood louvers for the GR-GV Subaru WRX STI. I have to get back to work on actually fixing this thing so that we can actually do some testing with the louvers. We're possibly going to do some pressure transducers and some thermocouple testing. But right now the engine is blown, like most Subarus. So, we got to fix that, and then we can go do some more track testing. Feel free to subscribe, like us, comment, let us know what you think. Hopefully these will be out on our store in the next few weeks. I'm going to get to another install, say our dive planes. Also something I'm looking at, because we have a big old front mount, maybe doing a hood scoop delete. Not delete, but like a block, because this is really bad for airflow as far as aerodynamics. You're just shoving a bunch of air pressure under the hood, and these are relieving air pressure, but this is pressurizing it, so maybe something we can do there. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the install manual, and good luck.